Hello there. Kia ora. Have you noticed since the election there's been a bit of an increase in those really vocal trolls attacking social media feeds for our mainstream media that seem to be willfully ignorant? They don't look at facts or data or results, they're just ingrained in their belief system and refuse to change because, well, it gets a rise out of people, but also they don't want to. Well, research that came out yesterday that was published in the American Psychological Association, that was initially put out by the journal Psychological Bulletin, showed that 40% of all people are willing to choose to be ignorant in order to have an excuse to act like a selfish twat. And that's really concerning because you've already got a fairly large chunk of the population doing that. But at the same time, research done in the United States between 2016 and 2020 during the presidency of Donald Trump showed that the kind of rhetoric that we get from our political leaders increases the kind of rhetoric that we see online, with people choosing to be more willfully ignorant when you've got a leader in place who does what Donald Trump did, essentially. Now, the research from the States showed that every time Donald Trump visited a location, there was much more activity around hate crimes, particularly towards ethnic minorities. Now, when it comes to a New Zealand context, well, have you seen what we've just elected? All three of the parties that make up our new government have, at some point in time during the last 12 months, particularly during the election campaign, put out dog whistles towards certain groups that they want to other. None are worse than New Zealand First at this, who have actively campaigned and managed to make some of these dog whistles policies that they've put into their coalition agreement. But ACT and National have both done the same thing as well to different extents. And that means that it's emboldened a group of people online who feel that they're now right to be absolute assholes. And 40% of those are willing to basically turn around and refuse any kind of information or data sets that could change the way that they look at the world. Now, here, let me give you a bit of an example. This is a comment from Trish that she posted on my video from a couple of days ago about climate change not being real, which you get quite a bit, particularly from those right-wing supporters who don't think that climate change is a thing. But there's a really simple piece of evidence that proves that that's not true. You see, between the years 2012 and 2021, there were 88,125 scientific reports done up by experts across the political spectrum all around the world. 99% of those all came to the same conclusion. Climate change is real and man has an influence on climate change. That's an overwhelming amount of research, data, and information that proves that climate change is actually happening. But Trish can't be wrong on this. So you see, giving her the information, the data sets, isn't going to change her mind about anything because she's choosing to be willfully ignorant so that she can justify the selfish thing she did by voting for one of the political parties who are now in power. And that's what you're seeing a lot online in the social media sphere at the moment. And what this means in terms of how we lessen their impact, well, just don't look. And it's a handy line from The Simpsons as well, but also just don't look. Ignore it. Don't interact. Don't comment. Don't give them any kind of power or response because that gives them more of a chance to use the platform of the social media group that they're using or the mainstream media group that they're trying to piggyback on to reach other people. If you don't interact, if you keep the engagement levels down, it actually kind of helps send a message to those that are monitoring these that this is not the kind of behavior that people want to deal with. But at the same time, it creates a safer space for other people to be able to use and interact or at least acknowledge what's going on to get the information they need without feeling judged and without feeling like they're doing the right or wrong thing based on the comment threads. So when you're dealing with online trolls, best thing you can do is block them straight away. And that's not just me saying it. That's because of the research that we saw come out of the American Psychological Association.